I'm under power lines. I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, so that's not affecting me. So don't worry about the power lines. This is coming as a theory. One theory is they are working together to somehow lull the Chinese into a false sense of security. So which would mean to a high degree that Mark Carney is what? He's an agent. He's an agent of the CIA. He's an agent of MI6, right? I don't know. Is he tied into Mossad? How does this globalist banker come out of nowhere, get installed as Prime Minister of Canada, then almost immediately turn against the United States? Well, you might want to stick around and watch this video. I'm going to discuss Mark Carney's trip to China next week, which will also bring him into Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum Summit. And I'm going to recap and add further information with regards to Renee Good, the lady that was shot and killed in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So let's roll. So next week, Mark Carney is traveling to China with a delegation of Canadian diplomats and politicians to meet with Xi Jinping, the president of China. Now, my understanding and what's been reported, Jean Chrétien, our former prime minister, who is in his 90s, is either there right now or he was there earlier on in the week. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he met with a contingent of Chinese Communist Party politicians. For what reason? I don't know. And what reason is being reported, I wouldn't believe anyways. So next week, Carney will be sitting down with Xi Jinping, and with him, I do know that Michael Ma will be in attendance with him. Now, Michael Ma, if you don't know who he is the most recent floor crosser that went from conservative to liberal. So now, was that already in the works prior to him crossing the floor? I would say 100% it was. So this is getting more and more suspicious by the minute. So now, obviously, Mark Carney has a relationship with China. He has come out and stated as such. And if you do a little digging with regards to his former company of Brookfield Asset Management, you would find out that at least $200 million has been loaned to his former partners in Brookfield Asset Management. They had a loan with China, so they have long-standing ties. You can date Carney's, from my understanding, you can date Carney's involvement with China back to 2014, and it probably goes back further than that. Now, you can also say that we've had a political relationship with China, even when the Conservatives were in party with Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper, he did his dealings with China as well. We have a large Chinese population in Canada. We know that, between 1.5 and 2 million Chinese people. So here's the problem, and I'm going to pose a question to you as well. But here is the problem that I see, and I think is a major issue for diplomatic relations between Canada and the United States. We know Donald Trump has come out of the gates in 2026 fast and hard. He's already went into Venezuela, and he's captured Nicolas Maduro's in a daring nighttime raid using Delta Force. Now, what happened 2 days ago with the shooting of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis is obviously the focal point in North American news, if not internationally right now, because the mainstream media is going to be all over that. Now, I'm going to get back to that in a second. I want to focus first on Mark Carney, China, and Trump, because I think it's a huge problem for our country of Canada. Now, Donald Trump, at first, he came across as going after Venezuela because they were a narco state. They were running drugs out of Venezuela into Mexico, into, I don't know so much into Cuba, but they were distributing drugs to awaiting boats in the ocean. Now, where those boats go after that, I don't know. This was the claim. Obviously, I'm not there to put eyes on this. It's a windy day today. I'm walking through, I'm not walking through Soviet Russia. I'm walking through a little area where I live. So, the main reason that Trump went in and took Madero's out, by all accounts, and I believe this, is number one, it is the oil reserves. But number two, and maybe even number one, maybe more importantly, Trump went in there to cut off the involvement that China has in Venezuela, that Russia has, and apparently even the Iranians had a foothold in Venezuela as well. China, when Trump first came into the 47th presidency, he said he did two things right from the onset. He wanted to regain control of the Panama Canal, number one, and number two, he came out of the gate almost immediately calling Canada the 51st state, calling Trudeau the governor of the 51st state. By all accounts, Donald Trump had a hate on for Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland, and more or less, well, he said it. And people that were in the first Trump administration have also outlined that as well. Their displeasure with dealing with Melanie Joly and Justin Trudeau. The same day Trump is being sworn in as the 47th president, Justin Trudeau resigns. Then almost immediately, the ball was in motion to install Mark Carney as prime minister. He was lying in wait to be tagged in to take over for that buffoon patsy of Trudeau. I knew as soon as I heard Mark Carney was being touted for the prime minister's office that this indeed was the coup d'etat. This indeed was the ringer that they were bringing in, the cooler, so to speak. So they had a leadership race, a leadership vote, where Mark Carney won every single riding that was polled within the Liberal community. He beat out all the incumbents of all their ridings, the Member of Parliament ridings that the Liberals held, every single one. This guy's never been in politics. Now, he beat out Chrystia Freeland, he beat out Melanie Joly, he beat out every single entrenched Liberal in their own ridings, which is complete nonsense. It doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical. You can't expect a politician or a non-politician, a global finance a financier, let's say, or an economic expert, to go in to politics and have a sweeping win. So right away I knew that was all fixed. They didn't allow, I think, 150,000 Liberals to even vote in the leadership race. So it was fixed. So now you have an election called within the least amount of time allowed, and it was held on April 28th of 2025, and Mark Carney wins a minority government. He was, I think, 3 or 4 seats shy of a majority. So which was not what he wanted, because he doesn't want to spend any time having to deal with Pierre Poilievre. He doesn't want to spend any time in question period. He just wants to be the elite banker that he's always been, the person that has had no one ever say no to him. So he can't deal with a Pierre Poilievre type personality. So unfortunately for him, he didn't get the majority government. Fortunately for Canada, he didn't. So Donald Trump subsided with the governor talk. Donald Trump subsided for a few months with the annexation of Canada talk. But it's coming back, and it's coming back pretty fast. And you know, honestly, Trump doesn't have a whole lot of time to whatever plan Trump has on the go. He's got to do it in the next 3 or 4 months, because the midterms are going to start revving up in 2 or 3 months. And if he loses the House, more likely, if anything, he'll lose the House as opposed to the Senate. Then he will be, his wings will be clipped. He will be a lame duck president, and they will start impeachment proceedings against Trump the next day, if they lose the House at the midterms in 2026. So Trump, to fulfill his large-scale plans, I'm going to get into that, he has to move quick, and from the start of this year, it looks like he is. Now, rumor is he's going to install a democratic government in Cuba next. There is talks that he's going to go into Colombia and have regime change there as well. His administration from almost day one as well has talked about acquiring Greenland for military strategic purposes. Now that talk has never really gone away with Greenland, but it's a focal point again, more so right now. From what I'm hearing, he's offered every citizen in the country $100,000 plus incentives. Now, my understanding is Greenland is territory of Denmark. Now, a lot of the Danish people are, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there is some reports coming back. Some of the Danish people are not so interested in becoming an American citizen, but there are a lot of people that are very interested in becoming a U.S. citizen and, you know, taking the perks, the financial perks of becoming a U.S. citizen. And there's a lot on the fence. Like in every society, there's a lot of people that don't care either way what happens in politics because they don't want to get involved in politics. So is Greenland, you know, an abyss, a forgotten territory in the world? I don't know. To Donald Trump and his administration, it would seem that's a very important focal point. Now, that's going to lead me into Canada. Donald Trump went into Venezuela to kick the Chinese out. He went into Venezuela to kick the Russians out and the Iranians. He went into the Panama Canal to kick out the Chinese from setting up infrastructure at the start and finish points of the Panama Canal. My understanding is he succeeded in doing that with the Panama Canal, and it would appear that he's very serious about doing that in Venezuela. His relationship with Russia has, in my opinion, it would appear, has always been a relatively good one. He never talks too disrespectfully about Putin. Now you can say, oh, Donald Trump's Putin's puppet, and Donald Trump is Putin's bitch, and all that sort of talk. I don't think Trump likes being the bitch, and you could say that with his relationship with Netanyahu as well. I don't like Trump's relationship with Netanyahu. I don't like it at all. I don't like Netanyahu. I never did. The guy is, he's next level evil, Netanyahu. But I'm going to do a separate video on that. But it certainly does. The Israelis and Donald Trump's relationship certainly ties into all this as well. But I don't want to get into that today. So Donald Trump is on a worldwide crusade, in my estimation, to eradicate communism, to eradicate socialism, to eradicate a hybrid between technocratic communism, technocratic socialism. And that's what I think he is focused on, him and his administration. So now you got Mark Carney purposely derailing trade negotiations with the Trump administration. He's on record coming out and saying that the old relationship that the United States had with Canada is no longer the same as it's going to be, and it's never going to be the same again. So he put Trump on notice. At least it would appear that way publicly. Now, next week, like I said, he's going to China, and he wants to foster better trading relations with China. He wants to focus on putting our products into a Chinese market, and I'm sure he's going to have to concede and take more Chinese product into our market, including electric vehicles and other technology. Now, Chinese electric vehicles have been pretty much deemed a no-go in the United States. They will not take Chinese EVs and a lot of other electronic devices that are deemed spyware. The U.S. has already gone on notice to say that they are not welcome with a lot of products that China produces. The RCMP did a report on Chinese EVs being a possible point of a spy mechanism if they were shipped into Canada. So the RCMP has more or less put the Liberals on notice that the Chinese have nefarious intentions with regards to Canada, sorry. And they've already, I don't know what they said about EVs. I haven't researched that, but you know, based on what the U.S. is saying about them, I'd have to go with they are a giant moving spyware. So if Chinese EVs are allowed in Canada, I'm hearing that the US will not allow them to cross land borders. So if you buy a Chinese EV and you want to take it down to Buffalo, Michigan, whatever, for a shopping day, you won't be allowed to do that. And I believe that, as long as Trump's administration is in power. Now, are they going to wait Trump out? Yeah, possibly, but that's another story. So the way I'm looking at this now, and help me out with this, the way I'm looking at this is Carney is flagrantly going against what Donald Trump is trying to do. Donald Trump is trying to quash the communist movement, and Mark Carney seems to have taken the lead worldwide into bringing China more into G7 countries, excluding the US, obviously, more into the Commonwealth countries. It would appear that he is a spokesperson for France, Australia, and Great Britain, in my estimation. To a lesser extent other countries, but they appear to be, a lot of countries appear to be on the same page with Carney, hence the coalition of the willing that just met in Paris, 27 countries and fringe countries. There's a multitude of other fringe countries. So Mark Carney is the president of the communist movement outside of China, in my estimation. Now, here is the question I'm going to pose to you. Is it possible that Mark Carney and Donald Trump are in it together for the betterment of North America, are in it together to usher in a Chinese regime across North America? I know, crazy. I'm under power lines. I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, so that's not affecting me. So don't worry about the power lines, okay? This is coming as a theory. One theory is they are working together to somehow lull the Chinese into a false sense of security. So which would mean, to a high degree, that Mark Carney is what? He's an agent. He's an agent of the CIA. He's an agent of MI6, right? I don't know. Is he tied into Mossad? How does this globalist banker come out of nowhere, get installed as Prime Minister of Canada, then almost immediately turn against the United States, right? Now, there had to have been a game plan in motion to think that Mark Carney was going to get away with such a drastic maneuver. Now, does he know something about Donald Trump that we don't know? Or is Donald Trump, this is my theory, this is what I think is going to happen. They're both my theories. But is Donald Trump going to annex Canada based on the giant security threat that Canada is? It would appear that China is, by all accounts, very entrenched in our politics, very entrenched of ownership of land, buildings, companies. Like I said before many times, the PEI Buddhist community in that province unofficially owns 16,000 acres. That's the highest number that I heard. They have vast buildings there. They have thousands of people that live there that are under the guise of Buddhism, but they are Chinese expats. So we know that they've had or still do operate Chinese police stations on Canadian soil, which I've said before, sort of be repetitive. And they tried to have cold weather training years ago under Trudeau out in Alberta, I believe it was, but then the US said, no, you can't have Chinese soldiers training on North American soil to train under our conditions in the event that shit hits the fan and we end up fighting them. They'll have an advantage. So now, Donald Trump is either going to have, like I said before, have no choice but to somehow convince Mark Carney that he is no longer going to be the Prime Minister of this country and allow Chinese incursion, military incursion into our country, or Donald Trump is involved in the downfall of North America along with Carney. Please, I haven't got an answer to this yet. I talked to many people outside of my videos. I talked to many people personally, even a person today, this morning. I had a long conversation with her, and you know, she came up with the theory that it's possible that that China will gain control of North America, but not for a couple years. So this is not completely alien to the people that watch this sort of content, but I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. Is Carney and Trump working together against China, or is Carney working with China against Trump? It would appear that Carney's working with China against Trump, but I'm not 100% on that. But anyhow, yeah. So leave in the comment section there about that, if you could point me in the right direction, please. Now, I just want to finish this video up by talking about Renee Good and the fallout of what's happening down in Minneapolis and across, well, not so much in Canada yet, but across the United States. So we all know Renee Good was in a lesbian relationship with her partner. I don't know her partner's name. She had 3 kids. She dropped off her 6-year-old son at school, then immediately went to start harassing federal ICE agents. And we all know what happened to her after that. She got shot in the face. That's what, so apparently she was dead from the first gunshot wound that went through her windshield and struck her in the face. So if you have a catastrophic injury to your face, it's pretty hard to administer first aid. I can only imagine how horrific the wound was, but I seen the interior of the car. I posted the picture yesterday on my last video. There was a lot of blood. Now, everyone's saying that she was a good mother. Everyone's saying she was into poetry. She was an all-around very nice person. And I'm not discounting the fact that she did all that, and she was a very nice person. She seemed, by all accounts, she was a nice person. But like I said in my video yesterday, she made a very poor decision that day by going and obstructing federal agents with firearms. Now, her partner, her wife, I guess they were married, was saying at the scene of the shooting that it was her fault. She got her to go down there. Now, was Renee radicalized by a hardcore individual that she was married to? Quite possibly. The dog was in the car, the wife was in the car, they didn't sustain any injuries. But it would, by all accounts, she was part of an organization in Minneapolis that was tasked to pointing out where ICE agents were. Now, how they know where these ICE agents are, I don't know. But apparently the ICE agents were there in that area to execute a search and arrest warrant on I think it was a Guatemalan guy that was accused of being a pedo. He liked little boys or little girls. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know why the ICE agents were in that area, but when they got there, they were almost immediately surrounded by white liberal insane Karens. And I'm telling you, I don't know, like I said in my video yesterday, I don't know what's going on with these white liberal Karens, these women, and these beta feminized males, but they are extremely angry and delusional, and they do not promote rational thought. And I'm thinking they are writing checks their bodies can't cash. For the most part. Are there some people that are capable of defending themselves and defending others with that mindset? Without a doubt. But I'm thinking it's more misguided rage and the lack of critical thinking that is putting these people in this situation. It makes no sense to me. If you want to unalive yourself and you have no kids or any dependents, you don't have a dog to take care of, you don't have to feed goldfish. Sure, if you wanna go out and virtue signal and video yourself virtue signaling, being a tough person or thinking you're actually helping out people from Guatemala, people from Somalia, people from Mexico, or whatever, you think you're actually helping these people, you're not. You're putting yourself in danger, and it's only going to get worse. They're putting up barricades in Minneapolis right now. There's a bunch of white Karens marching around pretending they're guerrilla soldiers. You know, ICE is not welcome here. They're putting up garbage cans and skids and pallets, and you can't come through here, ICE, you're not welcome. Okay, that might have worked under Sleepy Joe Autopen. It's not going to work under Trump. Tim Walz saying he's going to send in the Minnesota National Guard to do what? What, to combat federal ICE agents? That isn't going to work out. And I don't think a lot of people in Canada know what the National Guard is. The National Guard are volunteers that have regular everyday jobs for the most part, and they dedicate time to become a guards person or a guardsman, kind of like a civil military force, but they are not regular army. They are not regular Air Force, regular soldiers. Sure, they're trained. They're highly trained. They got sophisticated equipment. Don't get me wrong. A National Guard outpost could probably overthrow our Canadian military. And I'm not taking anything away from our Canadian military. It's just the way Canada set it up. But they are not going to have armed conflict with federal agents, because Donald Trump will send in regular federal troops and they will be annihilated. Okay, so these people, these weak men and delusional masculine women, they're not thinking straight. Donald Trump is waiting. He's hoping that this escalates, because I'm telling you, Donald Trump, like a lot of people, want this to escalate. Okay, they want this situation to get going, because I don't think, and a lot of people don't think, this is going to be corrected through negotiation. If someone on the left wants to have a rational conversation with me, I'm going to listen to them. A lot of these people on the left, as soon as they see me wearing a Canada patch, or I'm proud of the Canadian flag, they automatically think, I'm a right-wing extremist, white nationalist, white supremacist. They automatically think that. They can't rationally have a conversation with me. And I know this. A lot of people got to wake up to that fact. This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well at all. And I'm going to tell you, like I've said before in many of my videos, if you are not accustomed to any sort of violence, you're not going to do very well in a street level conflict of any sort. You're gonna fold up like a cheap suit, like a lawn chair. And I'll reiterate, I'm not the toughest guy in the world, and I'll always say that. I know my limitations. I'm not trying to profess that I'm some sort of, special operator. I am not. But I'm out quite a bit, and I've been out quite a bit for quite some time on the streets in the urban woods, and like I said before, I know my way around, and I know what evil lurks out there, and I know the pretend tough people. Heart gets you a long way in a physical altercation. Being completely crazy and delusional gets you a little way until you are met with equal or greater force. Then you collapse. Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that is a very true saying. I'm not saying I'm going around punching people in the face. I'm not saying that. Will it come a point where I got to start doing that again? Oh, I think it's gonna. I've been punched in the face plenty of times, and I usually respond pretty well to that. I'm getting older now. I'm an old guy. I'm not a boomer. I'm Generation X. But yeah, I don't particularly like getting punched in the face, but it doesn't particularly deter me much either, to be honest with you. Unless you're dealing with someone that's got really heavy hands. And I'm not saying I got a George Chavello type jaw, or what's the other guy, Randall Tex Cobb, two legendary jaws in the heavyweight division. I'm not saying that. But anyhow, I'm going off on a tangent. Donald Trump and the left, the Democrats, want things to escalate in Minneapolis and across the US. They both do, because they both want to pop this shit off. And my advice to all the liberal leftist radical Karens out there, Karens, Darrens, whatever you want to call them, I would stand down. I would what that cop did. That cop, he didn't have to shoot that lady. I agree with that aspect of it. But she put herself in that situation because she did hit him. She hit him. That one angle of the video, she ran into him. That's all that cop needed to put a bullet in her face. And now her 3 kids are orphaned because her butchy wife there wanted to video her and put it up on social media to bolster their paycheck, because they were getting paid to do that. So who got Renee Good killed was the Democratic ideology. The Joe Bidens, the Barack Obamas, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Maxine Waters. That's who got her killed, okay? It wasn't that on-edge ICE agent. Sure, he had the gun. He killed her. He was a finisher. Now did Trump agitate him to the point where he had to pull his gun out and kill that lady? That could be argued. But law enforcement, when you have 200, 300 white lunatic liberal Karens screaming at you, calling you Nazi fascist with these electronic whistles in your head, throwing snowballs at you by the hundreds. There's video of it. Yeah, you know what? Cops are only human too. Cops are only human, and you push a human to their breaking point that has a gun and a badge, you're going to lose 999 times out of 1,000. And that's what I got to say in this video. Help me out with the Trump and Carney relationship. Please give me your theories on that. There's a lot of people on the right, Baked on Things, Brian Lilly from the Toronto Sun, and David from Moose on the Loose, saying there's no way that that the United States will ever militarily intervene in Canada to form regime change. I'm saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. That's all. Help me out. Thanks for watching and enjoy your weekend.